Hey, this is Ben Solomon, and welcome to this episode of the Techno Leadership Show. In this episode, we are going to be talking about how to figure out your core values and why your core values matter in finding a role that's fulfilling for yourself and also living a life that's fulfilling as well. So, core values are hidden determinants that guide most of our action. In most cases, we don't really consciously think about it. We're not aware of it unless we take time to figure out why we made certain decisions or why we took certain actions in certain situations. It's really hard to consciously know. So over the last few years, I've gone through various processes, made aware of this whole aspect of core values, and also another side of it called shadow values by different people. The shadow values came from Benjamin Harvey, who is a personal development self-help sort of expert here in Australia. And the core values came from multiple people. One of the earlier people that I learned a lot from is Steve Pavlina. He has written a book that has some part of it, but his blog, stevepavlina.com, has a lot of resources around strengths and around core values and how to let your values lead you. It's a really good resource. And then past that, I then found out about Dr. John DeMartini. So his book, The Values Factor, has been a very good resource for me. You don't have to buy the book. You don't have to read the whole book. Yes, it's a fairly thick book, 300 something pages. Yeah, 380 pages here. You don't have to buy and read the whole thing, although I'll say it's beneficial because you walk through the whole process, but also you see stories of other people who have done the process, figured out their values, clarified their values, and then were able to reshape their careers, their lives, and everything based on that, and were able to find fulfillment in work and life and in all aspects of their life. So that's a good resource. And if you search online on his website, Dr. John DeMartini, they have a PDF file that walks you through the whole process. That's basically all you need. It's a very simple process, simpler than probably most of the other processes that I've seen online, where it asks you to go through what you're actually spending money on, what are you actually spending your attention on, because those things determine the value that you have. And in some cases, let's say, for example, I'm just going off the top of my head, let's say one of the areas in life you're spending a lot of time and money on is video games, just as an example. The value that comes out of that could potentially be different for different people. For someone, they're probably wanting to be on top of leaderboards, want to get be at the best at a certain game in a certain faction, and for them significance is probably up there. For others, it might be the fact that you are in control of your character and can do whatever you want to do in the game. So you feel that sense of control. And behind that stands autonomy, the desire to be autonomous, not be controlled by other people's influence, so to speak. That could be there. So for different people, it's going to be different, but going through the whole process helps you figure that out. And again, like I've said with psychometric testing, you don't determine everything based on one process. So the values factor by Dr. John DeMartini is one of those processes. The other is the one that Steve Pavlina has on his blog. He's got a really good, detailed process. And then there are a few others online that you can find around this. So if you do 2 or 3 of them, you'll have a fairly consistent value stack, 1 to 5 values, 1 to 10 if you really want to go that far. 1 to 5 usually does it, and that gives you enough of an idea of what your core values are. So once you've done those, you can then see 5 values that you've got there. Then I would ask you to go and search for Benjamin Harvey, Harvey, and his shadow values. So he has a process to determine what he calls our shadow values, things that we are not proud of, but they drive us. And once we understand what those shadow values are, we can then tie our actions, whatever we want to accomplish, to fulfilling those shadow values. And we automatically have not just the motivation, but the inspiration, in a sense, internal energy that pulls us towards the actions required to accomplish that, which is another fantastic find. So if you do the positive values and also then the shadow values, and you'll see quite easily there will be correlations. And based on those correlations, help you figure out your true values, and then look at the kind of work that you do, how you go about living in your day-to-day life, how you prioritize things like health, relationships, all of that. You can be more conscious, and you can more consciously put in the effort, the attention that they deserve and require. For example, let's say one of your top 5 values is autonomy. If you're put in a team scenario where you don't have autonomy to make decisions, and you are just expected to do as you're told, you are going to struggle, because that inner core value is always crying out to have that autonomy, so you can make decisions, you can be responsible for them, but also be able to do the work required and accomplish the vision that you have in your mind. And if you're in an environment where you have layers of hierarchy thwarting your ability to do that, you're going to burn out. Which is why knowing your core values means it allows you the opportunity to then go, look, if autonomy is one of your core values, for example, you can consciously make a decision going, I'm not going to go for roles where I don't have autonomy, where I'm completely under governance and guidance from others. Which means, let's say if you're in a junior position, working in an organization that's smaller, where you're the one person IT, might be the best option. It's not always easy to get those ones, but it gives you the autonomy, it gives you the opportunity to do what is required, but it's also an intense learning experience. As intensive as that experience might be, from a personal fulfillment standpoint and personal effectiveness, you would be effective in that one person role where you have full autonomy to make decisions. Obviously, you'll have your CEOs, managers, whoever it might be, or managing directors in those sort of smaller companies who would have an idea of what's required. But beyond that, in most cases, and if you find a good business where they're humble enough to allow you to drive that aspect of the technology aspect or the engineering aspect of the business, then you'd enjoy it. Whereas if something like collaboration is your highest ideal or one of the top 5 ideals, you'll find it very difficult in an autonomous position, because you'd be like, I need the team help to get it accomplished, the end goal accomplished. So working in a situation where you're the one person team is not going to work. So as much as it takes time to go through these things and do the processes required to figure out your core values, it's one of the most important things in your life and in your career. There are lists out there with 200, 300 values that you can download, print, and then go through it and slash off the ones that don't align with you. And then as you keep whittling down the list, you'll get to a point where you find about 5 to 10 that are really resonating with you. And those give you a clue on what your values are. And then there are the processes and tests that you can do online that also, based on the answers that you give, determine what your internal core values are. Things like the process in Steve Pavlina's blog, the process from Dr. John DeMartini. All of these things give you that opportunity to be able to find your core values, clarify them, make sure that they are your core values, and then look back at your life. Look back at all the decisions that you've made through your life, whether it's career choices, the way you've gone about doing projects or something at school, university, whatever it might be. And as you look through that timeline of events in your life, you will notice how much these core values have, on a very subconscious level, played a significant part in that thread of events, the thread of how your process has worked to determine and get results in your life. So hopefully that's helped you out in understanding why determining your core values is very important, and how that'll then help you determine the kind of roles that would suit you best, the kind of environment that suits you best. And if you like this episode, please hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button, and so that you're notified of any future episodes that come up. And I wish you all the best in your journey as a tech pro, manager, and leader, and in your growth. Have a great day. See you soon. Bye.